Hello and welcome to Talking with Famous People. My name is host Eric, and today on Talking with Famous People, I am talking with famous people, specifically EccentricM, Unify, and Dr. Nufrarious. So, I believe it was the good doctor who asked or proposed the topic probable career options for ENFP and ENTP, desirable career options for ENTP and ENFP, and advice for young ones. Well, career stuff is hard for any DOMs for sure. I think it's fair to say that the extroverted intuitors are not well suited for the often protocol heavy and small picture environment of a contemporary workplace in a lot of capacities. Not every capacity. I mean, there's a lot of different kind of workplaces, but there's this vision that a lot of people have for their kids, and a lot of kids grow up to have for themselves, of having a college degree and getting a professional job of some sort, where you have to, which is some sort of job that has the prerequisite college degree. Teacher is a common one, because if you leave college and you didn't study something real, you don't have any actual marketable skills, you don't even have the skill of teaching yet, but you have the knowledge base to learn the skill of teaching, at least something, at least presumably. And so, a lot of people go into that if they left college with a liberal arts degree, like I did, with a degree in the fantastically useful field of American literature. I went into teaching as a default. I remember I had my college degree. I got back home and my parents were kind of pestering me about shit, and I just said, man, I just want to work at Big Five. And I went and I tried to apply at Big Five, and they wouldn't hire me. And a lot of places like that wouldn't hire me. And the reason was because I just couldn't behave myself, basically. I couldn't behave myself in the interviews. I couldn't behave myself in filling out the forms. I always had to put some little joke in there, right? Or some unnecessarily complicated explanation. So that didn't work, and it ended up being like I couldn't get a job below my degree. So I got a job teaching, and it wasn't even a teaching job; it was a special ed job. My dad got me in. He was a bigwig in the county. A little nepotism never hurt. Anyway, it's not like it was a difficult job to get. Nobody wanted the fucking job. And I worked special ed for a number of years. The only advantage of it is it paid quite well for an intro teaching job. Most regular ed teaching jobs don't pay that well. And it put away money for my retirement, and it did that shit. Plus, the hours were ridiculous. I was making good money for a 26-year-old or something. I was probably pushing 40 grand, and I worked from 8 to 2 every day. So, I mean, but the point of that job was it was a good job for me as an ENTP because it didn't require a lot of time, particularly. It didn't require me to have a big chunk of time. The time that I was there, especially the last job, which was the bulk of my special ed teaching, was the oldest subpopulation that was profoundly retarded. It was still in the county system. So that meant I had 18 to 22-year-olds who were extended stay high school students, basically, because they were profoundly retarded, which means most of them were non-ambulatory, and I spent most of my time doing nursing stuff. I picked them up, changed their diaper, fed them, put them back in their wheelchairs, put them in these other chairs, and played the piano for them, basically. So, I mean, it was a piano in my room. That helped a lot. And I could get away with playing a lot of piano. So that helped a lot. Eventually, that place did start to be like, started to not like me because I started to just not care about paperworky stuff and just be like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, your boss doesn't like it when you have that attitude. Hey, I'm assigning you something. No, I don't want to do that. I'm your boss. I know. I heard. That's great. That's good for you. Oh my gosh, you must be so proud. This is the problem ENTPs have getting jobs, right? We're sassy. We're quite sassy. And so an ENTP job is going to have to be a job in which the boss or whatever is particularly interested in fucking people. Just leave me alone. It's so late. Why are you texting me still? So in an environment where people are like they are not fussy about social stuff. ENFP, on the other hand, is a dramatically different bird. They're not going to be fussy. I think they're going to be agreeable, probably. Hi, Abraham. What do you think? Are you agreeable, EccentricM, in a job place, or are you fussy?
Yeah, I'd say I was agreeable because I can be content within a role. However, I think to do that most sufficiently, you need a level of flexibility, as well as to make work simultaneously play.
Right.
Or else it's going to be kind of really dead. And that can be depressing, especially for an introverted feeler. If he's going through something he doesn't want to do or something he's not passionate about, it's just going to become repetition for the sake of repetition, and then that will eventually just So preferably something creative, something that has flexibility. If it's not creative or not flexible, then you have to at least have the ability to make mundane tasks playful.
Well, I think where you guys get depressed if shit's not providing enough flexibility, if it's not affirming your will, if instead it's saying your job is to supplant your will with the will of the company. There's a lot of jobs sort of basically have that position. Then you're going to run afoul of either types, but you're going to run afoul of them for different reasons or in different ways. They're going to present in different ways. ENFP will get depressed. ENTP will get rebellious. Either way, they're not there for much longer. ENTP will go out in some sort of more dramatic fashion, probably. There may be flames in the background as he's walking away. I don't know. I have burned plenty of bridges in my life.
And the ENFP will be asleep somewhere in a stock room in a box.
Aren't you supposed to be working, EccentricM? I'm working on keeping this box attached to the floor. So what kind of jobs ought they do? Well, both types are extroverts. Both types are idea people. I think ENTPs more than ENFPs, regardless of what the stereotype says, like an audience, and that things that allow you to work with a group in certain capacities and not others is kind of the key dividing line for ENTPs. So coaching is a much better job for an ENTP than teaching. Another good job for an ENTP would be something like taking a bunch of clients around town and showing them a good time, charming them, getting them to sign the deal, that kind of shit. Like because ultimately, in a lot of ways, there's a misconception, or kind of a stereotype that's kind of funny, it's kind of true, that is also kind of false, which is that ENTPs don't really know how to do anything. They know how to find the guy who knows how to do the thing, and then they find the other guy who knows how to do the other thing. You know, it's like, and there's
who kind of connects to everybody.
right, but doesn't actually have any skills himself, kind of a thing. Which is sort of true, because we tend not to be huge experts on any one thing. So we play around with a lot of different stuff. But that stereotype is represented here in the fact that I didn't know how to make that always open room, but it was another ENTP who did. And it's not like probably either of us have all the skills you need to do anything. This is one of those things that the ENTJ video is saying. It's like, oh, ENTPs have this reputation as entrepreneurs, but I've never met one who was a successful entrepreneur, and they don't even know how to do anything, basically. So it's not like I took exception to it per se, but I think it's relevant in this instance talking about jobs, because I do think there's an element of truth that means ENTPs like to be in the mix of the scheming and the shit. And I mean, we're great functional. We have great functionality when we're in the right position. The problem is, how do you get to that position to give yourself great functionality? My actual advice to ENTPs, right, as soon as young as they can be, is skip the whole job thing. Try to avoid it. Do some sort of entrepreneurship, or at least skip the college thing and skip the bullshit. I mean, you might want to go to college. I don't know. Some people have fun, but I would advocate entrepreneurship first. It doesn't have to be a great idea. You've got plenty of them, but it should be a simple one to start. Start with a very simple idea and add maybe another simple idea later on. That's the struggle for ENTPs. If they want to try to become entrepreneurs of any sort, it's deal with it a simple, easily understood, easy to execute revenue stream aiming, not necessarily specifically a revenue stream mechanism, but a revenue stream aiming action towards the generally defined, but not too specifically defined goal. If you do that, then you'll be an entrepreneur, because that's all it takes. All ENTPs should be successful entrepreneurs, because all of us can do the shit that ENTJs do to be successful entrepreneurs. We can all do, we all know how to read and follow an existing protocol and do all the smart things that people do in the conventional way in order to achieve conventional success. We're perfectly capable of doing those tasks. What we're not capable of, or don't want to do, or ought not be capable of, because we shouldn't be forcing ourselves to fit in holes that don't fit us, is executing those sort of boring ass protocols consistently, steadily over time in the way that it's required in order to succeed. So the trick is to find some sort of architecture in life that allows you to get most of that shit off your plate that you don't like, and keep the shit you do like, and profit according to your values still. Because usually that part where get rid of the shit you don't like it means getting a job. Well, now my employer has to worry about where my next paycheck's coming from instead of me. I just show up to work and I get paid. Well, now my employer has to worry about the complications of profit margin, how much to charge. My employer has to take the risk. Like, I fucked myself pretty good in June this past year, because I charged about $500 too little per kid to go to nationals, because I had never done it before. I didn't figure out the pricing before. I just sort of guesstimated how much it was going to cost, because I'm an idiot. It's like, you should figure that shit out. If you have that ENTJ, he's got all that math all figured out, right? And so he'll say, I'm doing it right, you're doing it sloppy. And I'll say, okay, well, you won this battle. You're right. As far as nationals go, I'm sure if you've been planning this protocol-heavy thing that's not particularly, it doesn't involve any creativity on the part of anybody. It's just a matter of executing the protocols to figure out how much the rooms are going to cost, how much the car's going to cost, how much everybody has to pay, what the profit margin is going to be, all that kind of shit. And not hard, laborious, yes. And so you guys win in that shit. But at the end of the day, you win the prize of getting to do boring shit all the time. And that doesn't seem like much of a prize to me. So what you got to do, one way or another, is delegate out the boring shit without delegating out the ownership. Whatever it is you're doing, have ownership of it. Don't do a job in which your value is contributing to someone else's ownership, because then you're not building equity. Like, if you, let's say you have a small business that sells these guys, you make these things. This is a cigarette holder guy, in case you don't remember, if you missed that video, that fine video. This is a cigarette holder guy, and let's say you sell these things, but you only sell like one a month. Well, prioritize that in that time when you could work that extra overtime hour, because if you keep doing that, you're building equity on a metaphysical level that you're not really even aware of, which is your brand, your site, or whatever that sells shit becomes known to people, and it becomes more of a presence on the internet and gets more shit going on. I mean, whatever it is you're doing, you should have internet revenue streams coming to you, because if you're young, then you shouldn't wait till you're 45 to do that, like I did. There's no harm to it. As an ENTP, you're desperate for attention, and you will always be desperate for attention. You won't outgrow it. Even when you get a lot of attention, you won't be desperate for it anymore. Like, you won't fiend for it, but you'll still find yourself coming back on GoToMeeting to have a group conversation with people and put up videos all the time and engage with people, because even when it's pure and you want to try to remove the word attention from it, and it's just like, I'm just engaging with people, even if it is all that, that ultimately, we never get sick of it.
I understand something.
Go ahead.
The attention thing myself, because I don't know if that's because of the social instinctual variant I have as well, which kind of revolves around those things.
So, what's your take on attention? That you enjoy a lot of attention, or you're saying that you feel more? It doesn't feel so much like seeking attention now, or something.
Attention seeking, but I still want to be known for something. I want what I'm good at to be at the forefront. People will point and say, "Oh, he's good at that," and so on. Not necessarily talk about me all the time, but at least to have some sort of fame for something.
Right. I totally understand this completely, that you want your identity to have an anchor, right? It's something you can count on. It's like, okay, well, I know my strength area here, like, I line up well against others in this area. That's what it means to be good at something. It means to be better than other people at something, because otherwise, there's no standard by which we understand what being good at something means. So but it's not a competitive thing. It's not like I need to be better than you so you can be bad and I can be above you. It's more like, in this life, we all have to manifest in the world on different frames of usefulness or of some sort. And some of that might be things that don't require any sort of social element. Like, I want to make sure that my life includes the ability to relax in a nice hot bath, or something like that. That is not a social one. But for the ones that do involve other people, it's significant that I think we're all constructing our identity as we move through the world, and we want to make sure that the character that's a hero of our book is living as we'd like that character who's the hero of the book to live, making the decisions we'd like that character to make in the abstract. You know, if I were a character in a book, I wouldn't want to have chapter 2 be, again, Eric rose at 8 a.m. and traveled to work, where he worked all day, and then he came back home, watched the television, and went to sleep. Chapter 3, Eric woke up, went to work. You know, I don't want that, right? And I don't think anybody wants that, though. Nobody wants that to be their character's story. So I think the issue is it's a steep metaphysical hill to embrace uncertainty, to take those risks, to assume that, to operate on the assumption that it's going to work. You can't always have a backup plan for everything. Sometimes you just got to say, well, yeah, I just managed to get myself fired from this job. No, I'm not going to get another job. Yes, I am going to start this business. Yes, we are going to go into debt. Yes, I am certain we're going to succeed. You can't be certain of anything, Eric. Okay, well, I'm as certain I'm going to succeed as I'm certain that I'm going to have a job. So that's certain enough. People don't like the idea of taking a risk, being told that's probably not going to work, it's too risky, and being told if you do that and it fails, then what are you going to do? You're going to be screwed, and then you're going to have to scramble, and then having those naysayers be correct. That's what people really don't want to have happen. They don't mind failing in private. They do mind failing in public, and especially if they feel as though the thing they're attempting is a representation of their self-worth and their identity, more or less, to some degree or another, then they're going to really be very hesitant about pursuing courses of action in which the risk involves hearing the naysayers and defying them and ignoring them and persisting anyway.
Hey Eric. Hey, didn't you talk about something associated with this in your the speech that you gave to the kids?
Well, you mean, yeah, I mean, it has to do with tolerating failure. That the experience of developing in any area is the experience of familiarizing yourself with the various failures that constitute the pitfalls in that particular area that we're talking about. And most people would prefer, it would seem, based on my observations, most people would prefer a course of action that requires them to take a lot fewer risks than I think everybody would benefit from actually taking, because risk taking is a way to improve yourself. It's a way to say, I've tried it that way before and it worked, but I'm not going to do it the same way again, because I know that even though that way worked, it doesn't mean it's the only or best way, and I might discover something that helps with something unrelated even, and the potential of playing around means a lot of potential for finding the shit or whatever, you know. But the point is, da-da-da.
That speech really helped me out. You have no idea, because literally the team is going through something. Team in a row is going through something similar, and so I've been trying to, because the issues like that are kind of like abstract. It's not something I can put my finger on, so to speak. And so when I saw that video, it was just like, well, I probably have to do something similar. You know, I might not execute it as well as you do, but I probably have to talk about that. Those things are important.
Well, I'm happy to hear that it was effective on that level for you. I felt like it wasn't great, but There was one part, like there was a little dip in a section of it. It wasn't great, but it was pretty good. I was pretty happy with the speech. It ended strong.
Yeah, that's good.
So did you give him a speech?
I actually have been sitting on that. I've been working like crazy. I'm coming up with a couple of preparations for this invitation that we're about to do for Congress. If you have any like Congress kids that you are dealing with on your own, I have a lot of extra material that they can use. So.
Well, thank you. I don't have any Congress right now. We're about to go into our first tournament at Fullerton. We'll see where we are after that, and then we'll see the following weekend as well.
You should consider going to the shirt tournament. It's an invitational.
When is it?
It's like at the end of the month, the last weekend of the month.
No, I'm not going to it because look, I'm going to tournament this Friday, Saturday, and I'm going to tournament next Saturday, and then I'm not going to go the following weekend. All right, thanks for watching Talking with Famous People, and don't forget to eat plenty of cheese. That concludes this episode, which was about ENTP, ENFP Jobs. ENFJ Abraham was talking about debate stuff, which is, well, I guess that's not over yet because I want to say that. The last thing I want to say is the perfect job, and the job that works quite well for both ENFP and ENTP, is the job that I have, that I lucked into. It's not like, wow, Eric's such a genius, he figured out the right job. This is not how it happened at all. It is, I just went to this place, and they're like, I threw down debate experience on the resume, and it's just something extra that may be a selling point, right? I did taken through my memory and shit to put down, more or less. I didn't have to dig very hard to find debate, but I put it down, and lo and behold, after I got hired, the high school debate coach came down and said, "Hey, I don't want to hassle with the middle school team anymore. I see on your stuff, because he was a debate coach and he was an administrator for the school. Anyway, I see on your resume and shit that you said you had debate experience, and will you take over the middle school debate team?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." Because I was just happy to have that job. I was not that long after being a meth addict. I was sort of just pulling my shit back together, and I was excited about just having a job, and I was very cooperative, happy to do whatever they told me to do. So I would have liked it anyway. I did it, and all of a sudden I realized, oh, I like this a lot better than teaching English. And then pretty soon I realized, oh, I'm actually pretty good at this too, I think. I mean, not pretty soon. It took me a while to accept that, but I really fought that hard. I was determined to be sure that it was fluke, random, must have something to do with something other than me. Eventually I concluded I was a pretty good coach because my kids won a lot. And then I started kudos, got a lot. The debate coaching job was perfect because once I got out of the classroom where I had to teach a bunch of English classes, and then finally at the end of the day I got to coach debate, once it was my only thing I was doing, well, I mean, first of all, the perfect job assignment for an ENTP goes like this. It says, here are some people, younger people, for whom your FE excesses will be excused. They'll excuse you. They'll excuse you your extroverted feeling failures. These younger people, these kids, and your job is to get those people to understand and successfully argue a case strategized and designed by you. I'm not even capable, let alone would I try to do this, but I'm not even capable of telling you how to do it because you and other debate coaches are the only people who know what you're doing. Anybody else who tries to even comment on the process feels like an idiot in 5 seconds because they don't know anything about it, and they think they do. Like, school teachers are always saying things like, "Oh, I do debate with the kids in my class."
Oh man.
Oh, you mean that thing where that child disagreed with that child? You know, that's not debate. That's you demonstrating how clearly you don't know what debate is. Uh, it you know, so when you're a debate coach, you have the best of all possible worlds. Your job actually is to strategize argument war. Your job is additionally to motivate and bond with and inspire and be inspired by the smartest kids. And what I've discovered is if you just treat them the same as actual human beings, you got a bunch of little friends. And you treat them like friends, and they'll treat you like friends too. And you're cool. And you can be friends with them forever. Like I'm friends with kids I had 10 years ago, or whatever. So, I don't know. That's my take on debate coaching for ENTP. Is it's a perfect possible job. We very much like the FE rewards. You get a shitload of that in debate coaching. When some kid, when you have those bonding moments with them, you both want it really bad, and you don't, it doesn't, you get judge fucked or something. Some judge intervenes, or you just straight up lose. But it seems like, I don't know. I like to think we usually win on the flow. When we lose, it's because some stupid judge on some sort of presentational bullshit. Yeah. So when you get that bonding moment, you guys and the kid and you, here's this little Chinese kid who's like 10 years old. What can this little Chinese kid possibly have in common with a 45-year-old man like me, white male, heterosexual from upper crust Arcadia? It's like in theory, there's nothing in common with those people, but we actually have shitloads in common, all kinds of shit in common. Because why? Because we're
Debate.
well, because we're in the trenches together.
Yep.
We're going to war together. We win and we lose together. Our hearts are soaring and breaking together. That brings you close to people. But of course, as a coach, you have to actually care. Well, who's actually going to care a lot? ENTPs are very competitive. They don't like to lose, and we always feel like we need to prove ourselves. Well, you want your coach to feel that. You want your coach to have that kind of insecurity, whether it's insecurity or something else, I don't know. This need to constantly prove oneself. If what one is trying to prove oneself at is educating children better to improve their cognition and metacognition in substantial ways, then you can always claim the moral high ground, right? So that's perfect. So I can be as competitive and assholey as I want, and always, if I need to, I can fall back to, look, all of this, do you think I want to curse? Do you think I want to curse? It's all because I care about educating your children so much. Okay? I would not curse if I didn't care about educating your children. I always play that shit, Not that anybody ever tries to roll up on me, really. Although my partner, I couldn't believe this bullshit she was pulling tonight. I'll tell you guys about it in a little bit. But right now, I think this browser will close. Well, that's job related. Maybe I should just let it roll.
Hey Eric. I got a topic if you're up for it.
Yeah, I am up for it, and I'm going to do this quick anecdote about work lady, and then I'm going to end this video, and then we'll do that topic, okay? Whatever it is, I don't care what it is. Anecdote goes like this. So I go to work, and they've been dragging their feet about giving me my money, and basically, she collected all the tuition from all these kids, and then she's supposed to keep her cut and give me the bulk of it, right? Like the majority, and then she comes to me today. I've been bugging her periodically, prompted her like, are you planning on paying me pretty soon? And she gives me a piece of paper for me to sign. So some sort of I promise whatever. I promise to not bail before the end of the school year or some bullshit. I don't know. I say, Gene, that paper's great. I love it. And I may end up signing it someday. Who knows? But I certainly hope you are not under the shockingly silly misconception that I need to do something for you to pay me the money you owe me. It's my money. You have it. You should give it to me. Well, but you have to understand, Eric, we have cancer. No. You need to understand that you have my money and you need to give it to me because it's mine. Not if I sign this paper, not when, whatever, not anything. It's because it's mine. It's not yours. You don't get to put stipulations on it. And so, she continued to hum and haw about, well, we don't know. I do try to be polite with that lady. I mean, the politeness, the thing is, she fucking laughs though now. After I yelled at her and shit tonight, said, yeah, I was polite for a little while, but, it's ridiculous. Well, she persisted in this course that somehow I need to do something, to reassure her about whatever before she pays me my money. So, eventually I said to her, Jean, you need to, Jean, I'm talking about Jean. Jean, you need to think about this. I've been avoiding making this argument because I shouldn't have to make this argument. The argument I've been making, which is, that's my money, give me my money, should have been sufficient to win this argument already. There's nothing more to say than that. But since you insist on continuing with your silly argument until I respond to it, fine, I'll respond to it. Your position is that you need to keep some of my money because you're not sure I'll be alive at the end of the year. And what happens if I die in the middle of the year? And oh my gosh, what will you do? Because all those parents will hold your school liable. I'd like to point something out. My clients paid me tuition for the whole year, and they didn't require me to sign anything. Now, you have all of my money because I told them to make checks out to your school's name because that's your job as admin now as my new partner. You seem to have mistaken the fact that since my clients decided to pay a whole year's tuition in advance because they have faith I'm going to be alive at the end of the year, you seem to have mistaken that fact for somehow endorsing your decision to hold my money that my clients paid me because I might die before the end of the year. Do you see how crazy that sounds? And she was, she did see how crazy it sounded. And she burst into laughter, actually, when I finally explained it all, like, really clearly to her. Just how ridiculous it was that my administrative partner, whose job it is to cash my checks and hand them to me, accepts a bunch of checks from people who promise to pay me for an entire year on the assumption I'm going to be around for an entire year. She takes those and justifies not giving them to me right away because of that. It's insane. So, anyway, I kept battling with her. I wasn't battling with her. I still hadn't actually demanded that she pay me at any point, right? I never said, you have to pay me. I just said, okay, well, if you want to, it was a bunch of conditionals, right? Like, if you insist on holding this money for longer, then we're going to have to talk about how much interest you're going to pay. I was playing with her a little bit, Anyway, the point is, at the end, I was like, well, you have not given me a single reason to justify you not paying me all the money right now. She's my partner. She's my business partner who... No, she's not a famous person. She's not. I should get her to be a famous person. That would be interesting. She's cool. I like her, but she didn't give me any reason for her to hold my money. And so I said this to her at the end. I'm like, you didn't give me any reason yet for you to still have any of my money. I haven't heard a single reason. And at this point, she was not going to attempt her ridiculous argument anymore. Even she had burst into laughter about it when I explained it properly. And then, so she's like, well, but she still was like, meh, right? So I'm like, what do you need? Are you like struggling or something? And then she's like, well, no, was her first response. No. And I said, because if that's the issue, then it's possible that we can talk about that a little bit, or something. Because, and she said, oh, yes, we're struggling. I said, you fucking liar. You are not, you are so totally lying now. I said, you will just say anything. And she's like, again, she started laughing. And at that point, I walked out there, I'm like, I like you, Gene. You're fucking crazy, but I like you. This old Chinese woman, she's not ever dealt with anybody like me before, but she is doing a remarkably good job of it. It's amazing. So, but anyway, then she came out and she basically said, but I actually am struggling. And this half of the building, we can't afford to keep this part anymore. The lease is too expensive. And I said, well, get rid of it then. And then she went into this whole, like, well, the landlord thinks we should sublease it. I'm like, all right, dude, well, I don't know. But, if you're going to borrow money from me, then you need to ask me if you can borrow money from me. You don't just hold on to it and hope I continue not demanding it. I prompted you about it several times. So, be straight. There's no reason for that shit. It's like, is she really gonna think that this she's gonna come up with some tricky argument that's gonna trick me into something? I'm a debate coach. I'm not saying that means I'm untrickable, but she's really bad at tricking. I mean, at least she's not good at tricking. I guess she's like businesswoman good at tricking, which is not even good at tricking. Bought B a yacht. Bought B a yacht? I didn't bought B a yacht. I don't have money for a yacht. I don't have money to be splashing around anywhere. I just said to her, if she needs a little bit of time or whatever, she's gonna pay it all right this second. That's all. But the thing is, it's so easy. It's like, I think it's a cultural difference, right? Because in Chinese culture, from what I understand it's all about everybody getting out without anybody losing face. Without anybody losing social hierarchy or whatever. And I don't think that, well, I mean, I know for a fact that I fucking hate that, and that's never okay. I will never compromise from the truth in order to, in that kind of a setting for sure. Like when parents say, oh, well, this is the reason why, blah, blah, blah. If it's not a good reason, they don't get to walk away with more dignity and their bad reason sitting on the table. That's it. The fact is, parents, you haven't come up with a single good reason to explain why, blah, 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 which just proves my point that blah, blah, blah is arbitrary. So you need to stop bugging me about it. Until and unless you can come up with a convincing reason to actually justify the thing you're claiming, don't claim it. It's that simple.
Till you have warrant impacts.
I'm not saying it has to be formal. I'm saying it actually has to be a good reason. So that you can't say, oh, I need to hold your money because you need to sign some paper to reassure us that if you die before the end of the year, somehow we're financially okay. And I mean, Is this extortion? Are you going to hold my money until I sign your paper? Because I'm not
That's
planning on
pretty
signing
weird.
it. I mean, it's kind of fun playing that game though a little bit. Like when, when I watch her trying to move me around with her tricks.
Tricks are for kids.
Well, I don't know. I like her though. I like her a lot. She's cool. She's funny. She's down to earth. She's super down to earth. And she also doesn't get, like, well, she gets now that I really fucking hate that. Let's all be dishonest so everybody feels good thing. That ain't flying. Mm-mm. And if I see it happening around me, I want to destroy it immediately. No, liars, liars, liars. What does that say? Something about money?
Well, do you think the money is moving you, Eric? It says there.
Money is moving me to do what? To call out bullshit? I don't think so. I mean, I think the money is only. No, she's not. No, money's not moving me either. I mean, money is just you either have enough to do what you want, which hopefully isn't too extravagant, or you need to figure out another big payday to make that state of affairs continue for a while. That's my take on finances. I don't. I'll be booming bust cycle forever until and unless something blows up. It'll always be boom bust. I'll still manage to make the occasional boom out of just existing resources and stuff like that. But until unless something blows up, it's gonna be like that. I have to throw something together, make something happen, in order to go back to living right. And I'll have months periodically where I'm eating beans and being poor and being like, "Fuck, I hate not having any money. I want to do this, and I can't do shit." But it's just how I live now. I never used to live like that a long time ago. Money gives you temporary happiness. Buying certain things give me temporary happiness, for sure. Certain kind of purchases too. Like, not so much big purchases that make me feel scared about finances, but more like grocery shopping tonight. I feel good because I got a full bag of dog food. It's checked off the list. I got a stocked amount of sodas, so I'll be good for a little while. And I got hamburger patties that I can feed competent hamburgers. And me too, I eat some hamburgers too. But maybe I'll make a hamburger pretty soon. I'm getting kind of hungry. I was thinking about going to Denny's though. Abraham, you want to go to Denny's? Is it too late?
Yeah, sure.
Is it too late or you want to go?
I'm down.
Alright.
Okay, let's go.
Alright, I'll come get you right now. Alright guys, I'm gonna bail. I'm gonna stop this video and upload it right now. And then Abraham and I are gonna go to Denny's. And then we're gonna make a little video from Denny's. And
Hey, you want me to take the camera?
yeah, you could do that. That's not such a bad idea. That reminds me of a good idea. It sounds like a plan. Okay,
Hey,
cool.
Eric.
Yes, Abraham.
Let me just tell you real quick about this this bill for that Spartan shirt invitational.
Not
If
now,
there's-
dude. You can tell me in the goddamn car.
Just the title,
No.
just the title.
Oh, the
Just the
title?
title.
Okay, fine. Sure, title, fine.
A resolution to protect students' emotional safety.
Look, I am as opposed to verbal bullying as anything, but the answer to it is counterbullying. Right? The answer is to shame the immoral people for their immorality. As always, when you ask Coach Eric, doesn't matter what the question is, the answer is shame them. Alright. Good night. Thank you. and rock on, as they say in the rock and roll world of the 1980s and 90s, early 90s perhaps. It was not sufficient to simply rock. One had to rock on. That proceeded from a stage of temporary rocking to indefinite, one might say permanent rocking. Thanks for watching.